Hello.
Hello, is this Todd?
Hi, Creighton. How we doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad I got you today.
Yeah.
Usually this is my work day, but I got all my stuff early done. So
Awesome.
So it's a pleasure. Really is a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. I'll let you know I'm not going to be good for 3 hours, though.
Oh, that's fine. I probably won't take that long anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Probably an hour and a half, probably, I'm thinking.
Okay.
So.
Where to begin? I mean,
right.
You know, it's like, where do you start? I'll tell you that my book is about the Detroit music scene. You know, I'm really focused on, like, all the bands, you know, going from the late 70s with the whole Bookies crowd, and then, you know, going up to about, like, I want to say the mid-90s, you know, and so it's a bunch of people. Bunch of different genres, you know, not just punk or hardcore, but also the goth scene that was coming out at that time, and then the new wave scene, and a little bit of the ska and rockabilly thing that kind of was going around in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But mostly punk, goth, and new wave. And so I felt like I really had to, you know, interview somebody who was there in the Necros, you know, and in one of the early bands, you know, that was playing hardcore.
Right.
Because, you know, looking at the Necros and all the places they played at, it's like, it's impressive. And what I want to know, I think one of my big questions that I'd like to know really is, why did you guys decide to come here and play in Detroit, and why not, like, Chicago or Cleveland? Like, why did you make Detroit, like, your main base, really?
Probably, it was, you know, it's 40 minutes from Toledo, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, Cleveland's a couple hours from Toledo, Chicago's like 4. It just kind of seemed a place to, like, kind of try to get something going. Yeah, I mean, initially, we initially started going to Cleveland, like, when we started going to record stores and stuff like that. So, but then we started just gyrating towards Detroit and Ann Arbor. Probably just because it was closer, basically.
So were you guys, like, really the first ones to do anything that would be hardcore? I mean, wasn't, like, Tesco and, like, John Brandon, were they doing anything musically that was kind of like what you guys were doing, or were you guys kind of like the first ones to really bring hardcore to Detroit?
John was still doing Static, which is more like glam. So he had that band going. Tesco was living in Lansing, and we hooked up with him through, I think we found Touch and Go magazine at School Kids Records in Ann Arbor. We bought that there, and that's how we ended up getting a hold of Tesco. I mean, the other band, you know, he had the Fix going on in Lansing, which was probably the other, you know, they were pretty much hardcore also. So probably just the two. Yeah, I guess we were probably the first band to bring hardcore punk to Detroit.
Now let me ask you, going back a little bit, how did you guys all get into, like, hardcore? Like, how did you discover, like, bands like Black Flag and all that?
Well, we got into punk. We got into punk first, which is, like, you know, more like 76, 77.
Yeah.
It's just the Ramones, Sex Pistols, stuff like that. And there was at some point in 78, the Sex Pistols were all over the news, right? Because all that was going on in England and stuff. So they'd be on the news. They'd, like, have a little blurb about them or something. And we were already into heavy music. Like, you know, at that point I was listening to the Stooges and the MC5, like, in the 60s. I was like 8. Probably 7 or 8 years old. Just because my brother was about 5 years older than me, so he was a teenager already, and he bought all those records when they came out in like 1969 and 1970 and stuff. So we were already into that, and then we got into the New York Dolls, like 72, 73. But we were always into. I was into just heavy music. I was into like Black Sabbath and Grand Funk and things like that. So then the punk thing kind of happened. We basically, the Necros, we came up with the idea of the band in the back of my mom's station wagon on the way home from the skate park. So this is like probably 1978, I think, and we didn't even, that was just, nobody knew how to play an instrument at that point. I mean, I kind of knew how to play drums. I knew how to play piano. But I don't think we had band practice until, I don't think we rehearsed until probably a year after that.
And then you guys made a record not that long after that, right?
Maybe about, probably in early 1980. Played our first Necro show was in Halloween of 79 in Toledo at this place called the Brass Bell, like a college bar near the University of Toledo. Let's see, the record was kind of like, we did our first demo. We recorded a demo first, and that ended up in Tesco's hands. And then he wanted to start a record label. So we were the first people on Touch and Go Records. The first record was the Necros EP.
So, where did you guys play at here in Michigan first? Was it in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, they had shows at the VFW Hall in Liberty.
Yeah, I heard about that. Didn't you guys? I don't know if this is right, but didn't you guys vandalize the VFW Hall?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, we played we played with the Cult Heroes, I think.
Oh yeah.
Initial show. We were really bad. Like, we were horrible. So we kind of didn't do anything for about 6 months after that we just started practicing more, try to get better. So.
And so you guys were still living in Toledo and coming up here at that time.
Right. We really hadn't, I don't think that was more Ann Arbor. We hadn't really started going to Detroit yet. Ann Arbor.
When did you guys hit Detroit?
Probably 1980.
Where did you?
Our first show in Detroit was probably at Nunzio's. I'm pretty sure. That sounds about right. Either Nunzio's or Bookies. Like one or the other. I think Nunzio's.
Do you remember like who you played with by any chance? I know that's jogging your memory.
I know the first Bookie show was probably with the Meatmen. And then the first Nunzio show, I think we headlined our first Nunzio show like on a weeknight, maybe a weekend, but with Youth Patrol opening.
Now, what was Nunzio's like compared to Bookies?
Well, it was a lot closer to us because where it's down in Lincoln Park, which it was only maybe a 40-minute drive from Toledo to Nunzio's, whereas Bookies was about maybe another 15, 20 minutes, like kind of up on 8 Mile. I don't know. I mean, obviously they were both gay bars. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. They were just totally. Bookies was more like kind of a dark bar, whereas Nunzio's was a lot smaller, with a lot smaller stage. Just the whole place was smaller in general. So, not much of a sound system at Nunzio's, Whereas bookies had more established acts from England and stuff were playing there. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how were you guys received at like bookies and nuncios in those days?
Well, we brought our own crowd, basically, which was basically a bunch of skateboarders.
Oh, they must not have liked that, did they?
Well, everybody had to sneak in everybody had fake IDs and stuff. So, yeah, I think Nunzio's got trashed. Like the second time we played there was like the end because they were closing anyway. So everybody decided that, I don't know, like basically the kids like trashed the place, like the bathrooms and everything. Yeah, I don't know, bookies we had an okay reception at that point. I mean, we weren't playing to like people that didn't. We were bringing our own crowd in, like basically a bunch of kids with fake IDs and stuff like that. So we kind of had a built-in audience.
And so they kept having you guys kind of come back and play because I noticed like you opened for it was Black Flag and then the Misfits.
Yeah. And then a couple of our own. We did a couple of our own shows at bookies on weeknights, and then Nunzio's was gone at some point because it closed, so that was done. And then they started having shows at. Well, the Freezer probably happened after that, and then they started having shows at the City Club or Clutch Cargo's, the downtown one, not Pontiac, the original, which changed its name to City Club.
Yeah. And so, like at a certain point, then like after you guys been playing at bookies and those pre-Freezer days, it must have been like, really you must have been building up like an audience too, not just bringing one, but you must have been attracting people that must have been like, oh yeah, this is interesting, and then people started making bands, right?
Right, yeah, basically, mostly because it was all just kids, really.
Yeah,
our crowd at least. Some of the older people liked us, but they were more kind of, I don't know. It was more of a kid scene, definitely. Which is why we had to come up with we had to find an all ages space. So then the Freezer happened.
And how did the Freezer come about exactly? Like how did it all? Do you remember how it all got started, or is that
somebody Rob from I think Board Youth had played there. Excuse me. Board Youth had played there, and they knew about it, and we were friends with them. So they told us about the space, and we went down and checked it out. And we talked to the guy who was running it, and we basically just started booking shows. So. You had to always bring your own. They didn't have a PA though, so you had to rent. Basically, we rented a PA every show we had. So
you guys ran it, and it wasn't Negative Approach that ran it, right?
Well, we didn't run it. No, neither. None of the bands ran the Freezer. It was this guy, Fred.
Oh,
that ran
Fred
the
Freezer.
Yeah, Fred Freezer. I don't know if he owned it. Nobody really knows if he owned the place or he was just kind of. I think he did, maybe. It's hard to say, but yeah, Fred Freezer was the guy who ran the place. So
that must have been crazy back then in the city, Well,
yeah,
in downtown.
There was nothing down there, just a bunch of junkies and prostitutes, basically.
Yeah.
So, and people and drug dealers. So. Yeah, it was kind of a wasteland to the cast. I mean, nothing like you see how that is now. The cast corridor, basically.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah, there was nothing down there. It was a wasteland, like pretty much. So, like the cops wouldn't even come down there. So it was probably perfect. It was perfect for a punk rock club, or a space like the Freezer, because nobody even paid attention to that area of town because it was forgotten, right?
Yeah.
So, Yeah.
Now, were you guys still living in Toledo at that time, or did you guys kind of move up here once the freezer got going?
No, nobody moved up there until late. Barry moved to Ann Arbor like in, I'm thinking like the mid '80s probably. So yeah, nobody moved up there for a while. But no, I never lived in Detroit. Not until I lived there for a couple months. I lived in Ferndale for a couple months in the '90s. So that was about it.
So then, like, after you guys started playing here in Detroit, you then probably started playing around like Lansing and was it Kalamazoo?
Lansing before we played Lansing before we played Detroit, I think. Even, and then we played Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, in Ann Arbor, of course, and probably Lansing and East Lansing, and then Detroit.
Because it seems like you guys, after you guys played at these places, like all these bands started springing up, like Violent Apathy, and then Bored Youth. Like I know Fred talked about you guys being an influence and kind of being, kind of helping those guys out. Bored Youth.
Yeah, we started giving. We would give bands. We'd get bands on our bills and stuff, just to help them out, get them shows. Get them shows and stuff.
And was that the same with like Negative Approach too? Did you guys help them out?
Yeah, basically. So there were not that many. There weren't any bands when we started. There weren't any bands doing what we were doing, and then like you said, bands started popping up. And we would just help them out, get them gigs, get them opening gigs and stuff.
Yeah. So how did you guys manage to travel to all these places? Like, how did you guys do it? I see like, and this is probably a little bit later, but you guys were like going and playing like outside of just not even Michigan, but like other places in the Midwest. Like how did you guys do it? Because a lot of bands that I've talked to, like they stayed pretty much in one spot or in just Michigan.
We just started, a lot of networking, getting shows from people and stuff like that. And we were lucky enough. Corey Rusk had his parents had like a big Suburban, so we used that. That was kind of our tour vehicle at first and stuff. We just, we started just booking shows and traveling. Chicago, New York, things like that. Cleveland. Just branching out a little more, playing other places.
So, what about punk rock appealed to you? Was it just the music, or was there like also like a mindset to it that like appealed to you? Like I've had people tell me, well, there was with the 80s and the political stuff going on, people say, well, it was the politics of the time or just the way things were, and I wanted to rebel. I would just be curious to hear, like, what motivated you in that direction besides the music? Or was it just the music, or was there something else?
Probably just the general attitude of the bands, like things like that. I don't know. It was just appealing and stuff. It was rebellious, obviously. Politics, not so much. Maybe that came a little bit later, probably. But then obviously the music, it was hard, fast music. I would say just probably the attitude, And we were skateboarders already, so it was kind of a similar type of thing, like the vibe. Because skateboarders were very, pretty anti-establishment, kind of rebellious, things like that. So.
Yeah, it seems like there's a close correlation with, skateboarders and punks,
Well, yeah, definitely. Especially Detroit, that whole early hardcore scene was all skateboarders, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like maybe 20, because we're talking only like 20 to 30 kids, probably right at the beginning. So maybe even less. So, and that's all it was. We had our little crew down in Toledo that they were all skateboarders. It was maybe about 10 kids. So there was never a punk scene in Toledo. Not for a while. Not until probably the 90s. So.
Did you guys, let me backtrack that. Did any bands, though, come from Toledo that were, kind of, influenced by you guys? Or, was it The Stain? Were they...
later? Yeah, they were, we were kind of friends with those people. The Stain. That was a couple of years after the Necros. So nothing really. And before that, there was really nothing in Toledo going on. We didn't even play there that much. We played there maybe like once a year. So
just Detroit and Ann Arbor, basically.
Yeah, Toledo was kind of just not happening for a while. Like I said, not till like the late '80s.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
So I'd be curious to know, out of the places you played in Detroit, Bookies, the Freezer, the Clubhouse, Clutch Cargos, the Greystone. I don't know if you guys ever played at the Hungry Brain.
No, but we played Todd's.
Oh, Todd's. I'd like to know about that one.
The Leader Knocked.
Well, out of those places, which one did you like playing the most?
Like, which one I liked playing, or which one? Well,
liked playing, or maybe you liked going to.
I mean, Bookies sounded the best because it had a pretty good PA and stuff. Like that Black Flag show was one of our best shows. Like at the time, probably because they actually had monitors on stage, right? You could hear yourself. So, right? It's like,
yeah.
Usually there weren't any monitors at the Freezer. So the Freezer was crazy. It was, basically there were no adults in charge, right? At the Freezer. Nobody really knew who was in charge. So definitely no adult supervision. So
pandemonium reigned supreme.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, luckily, I don't even think Fred. He wouldn't even hang out. He didn't like that music because he was like a hippie and stuff, and he lived like a block away. So he would just show up when the show was over to get the money. So yeah, I don't think he was necessarily into the music.
Now, when you guys played with Black Flag at Bookies, was that was pre-Rollins, right?
He was in the band already, but he wasn't singing yet, and he was on tour with them already, so he was hanging out.
Was that Cadena or was it Reyes singing?
It was Dez. Yeah. And Henry did Henry did a couple songs at Soundcheck because that's how they were kind of working them in and stuff. So, but it was still Dez singing. Great show. It's one of the more famous shows in Detroit punk rock history, I would think.
Oh, that one, and then the Misfits show at the Greystone. I mean, everybody talked to say, "Oh, I was there." It's like it's like that Iggy. It's like the Iggy Pop, the Stooges concert where somebody gave him this jar of peanut butter, and everybody will say, "I was there. I gave him the peanut butter." And
well, who did give him the peanut butter?
Wasn't that Stib Baders?
Yeah, you can clearly see him, his profile. If you look at a really clear picture of the or a clear image of the photo, you can see like you can make out Stiv's face.
Oh yeah.
And it looks like his arm. And he would have been about probably 16, 17 at that show, and it was in Cincinnati, like what, 1970, I think. Yeah. And at least he claimed that he did the. But if you look at the photo, Kurt, you can clearly see him. It looks. He just kind of had that nose. You can kind of tell.
Yeah, right? I could believe it. I believe it.
Right. Yeah. So, and you can definitely see the jar of peanut butter. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, who were some of your favorite bands to like open up for? Like, I know you guys opened for the Misfits a few times. Black Flag.
Misfits, Black Flag, Bad Brains.
You must have stories about those shows.
Or DOA. Minor Threat. But we didn't play with We played with Minor Threat at the Coronation.
Oh, over in Canada?
Yeah, early on. Because, that's another. There was no place to play. The Coronation was probably even before Bookies or Dunzios. Because they would book us. Just no one, who knows why, but a bunch of bands from the United States coming over and playing Canada, and then there wasn't any age. They would let anybody into that bar, so they didn't care. So, right.
Oh, and then I've heard a lot of the Windsor bands would go over and play at Bookies,
right,
or at the Greystone.
Right. Yeah, that was a little later. Once the Coronation was pretty much done at some point. I don't know. Nobody wanted to deal with it anymore. You never got paid anyway. So. Yeah.
So tell me about like the Clubhouse, because there's that book Why Be Something You're Not, and they talk about the Freezer quite a bit, but I felt like there wasn't as much as I would have liked to have heard about the Clubhouse.
That was just John and Larissa lived there, basically, and they decided to, once the Freezer was gone, they decided to tear down the walls and turn it into the new space for shows. Basically, the Necros never played there.
What about the? Wasn't there like the first Unitarian church?
Yeah, that was only a couple shows were there. In Ann Arbor or in Detroit?
In Detroit.
Yeah, because there was another one in Ann Arbor that did shows too. I don't remember. I think the one in the church in Detroit only did. There's probably only a couple shows there. We never played there. So.
Now tell me about Clutch Cargoes.
The original one?
Yeah, the original one.
So it was downtown on Elizabeth Street. That was going to be the new. Bookies was done, so that was Vince Bannon's new club. Basically, it took forever to get off the ground because of, I think, the permits. Yeah, I don't know. They just started bringing big name acts in, probably a little bigger than Bookies, because it was a lot bigger than Bookies as far as the space goes. I think we ended up opening for the Damned with Negative Approach the beginning, and then we were in the middle of the bill with a Negative Approach opening. So. Oh
gosh, you played with one of my favorite punk bands, the Damned.
That was probably our first Clutch Cargoes show, actually. So. Well, yeah, it was a good show. I mean, we were all kids. They seemed like they were really old at that point. Right, and they were probably only about 10 years older than us. But when you're when you're 16 and you're then you think somebody who's 27 is man, they're old. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard a lot of Clutch Cargo stories about Fear playing there, and then you guys playing there. I remember there was somebody, I don't know, you might not have been at this show. You might have been at this show. But they were playing a show. You guys were playing a show somewhere, and somebody told me this, and there were a bunch of the skinheads, and you guys had grown your hair long already.
Oh, that was at Tracks.
And Barry's like, this is why we grew our hair long.
Yeah, I don't remember him saying that, but I remember they were trying to make fun of us, and we kind of just started making fun of them more, and then everybody in the crowd started laughing at him. So I think Barry was kind of like, well, wait, you paid a bunch of money here to come see us, and now you're going to heckle us? Like, okay, that's real bright. Yeah, they were calling us like the Hair Bear Bunch and stuff like that.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, everybody already had long hair at that point. It was probably 85, 86. I'm thinking. So, but the whole skinhead thing in Detroit got really stupid at some point. Just like, and they all turned into a bunch of Nazis. So, which was weird because it was like, okay, like, like stuff like they wouldn't listen to the Bad Brains anymore because they were black. Like,
oh,
okay,
Jesus.
Right, but I'm like, wait a minute, skinheads in England, they listen to reggae.
Of course, yeah. It's like
right?
they forget all about that.
Right, like they're not necessarily Nazis, right? It's like it's just kind of a fashion thing. But yeah, it was kind of silly in Detroit.
Oh yeah,
it didn't last long. So.
So, tell me about, and I'm sure people have asked you this question before, $1 million question. Playing with the Misfits. Because you played for them a few times. What was that like?
The first one was in New York. The first time. Well, that was after the Necros had already opened for them in New York, and. What was it, sound check? Googie was late on the subway, so I ended up doing a sound check for them the first time. And then a few months later, Googie had quit. They didn't have a drummer, and they wanted to do this show still, so they asked me if I could do it. So I did that. We went out to New Jersey. The Necros were opening anyway. We went out to New Jersey and did a couple rehearsals and did that show. Then they ended up taking us on tour with them out west, which is pretty cool. They helped us out a lot, actually, as far as they kind of taught us too how to make T-shirts and stuff like that. And then that final show in Detroit, excuse me. Yeah, Brian Damage, the drummer they had, Brian Damage, just got way too drunk. Probably our fault. And Doyle kind of like I think it was the second or third song. Doyle kind of just picks him up and like throws him out in the alley behind the Greystone, and everybody starts yelling for me, or it was my drum set anyway. They were using it, so yeah, I just finished the set basically. So pretty cool.
Was that was that the last show they did at the Greystone?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the reunion of 20 years later. Right. So that was like 83, Halloween 83. Right around, or the day before Devil's Night on 1983.
Yeah. You guys also opened for the Dead Kennedys too, didn't you, at Clutch Cargo's?
Yeah, that, and then the day after Chicago. So we did a couple shows with the Kennedys.
What were they like?
I mean, those people were a lot older than us, so it was kind of weird, right? I mean, they were already a well-established rock act, right? Though I do remember Jello went with us in our van to Chicago, and our roadie, our friend Brian Hyland, I don't know if that name rings a bell.
I've heard the name before.
Yeah, he was in that band McDonald's. He was the singer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, kind of a joke band. Yeah, I don't know. He was just making jokes for 4 hours, just making jokes. I don't think Jello was digging it. I don't think he understood our sense of humor. So, yeah.
Yeah, Jello's quite a character, you know.
Yeah.
I love him.
Better now. I guess he just had a stroke, but he's doing better now.
Oh yeah. I hope he doesn't give up doing shows, you know.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
for sure. I mean, after the Necros, you were in the Laughing Hyenas with Brandon.
Right.
Right.
I joined in '91.
And so, what was that like playing in the Laughing Hyenas?
Yeah, awesome. We had we had a record label. We went on tour a lot and stuff. We had a pretty big following, like here and there.
That was sort of a change from obviously. I mean, I know you guys had started kind of. Obviously, changing your style was developing with the Necros, and then it's not negative approach. The Laughing Hyenas, to me, as I've listened to them, I hear little strains of blues and post punk in there.
Yeah, right.
So that was kind of a different avenue to go down, Yeah,
but everybody was kind of bored with the hardcore thing at that point, and it was at that point you had hardcore bands influenced by other hardcore bands. You understand what I mean?
Oh yeah.
As opposed to the original hardcore bands were not influenced by hardcore bands; they were influenced by punk rock bands. So kind of a different thing, and other bands too. So it's kind of. Yeah, it was just kind of everybody was just kind of moving on from that, and then the Hyenas had already been. Let's see, the Necros broke up in '87, right about the same time that the Hyenas got together. So by the time I joined the Hyenas, they'd already done 3 records. Right, so it's very well established. The band was already very well established by the time I joined.
So, tell me about the Greystone. Like what you remember about playing the Greystone besides the Misfits show, because I know you guys. I'm pretty sure you guys played there. I don't want to sound like I'm uninformed, but you guys played there with the Big Boys.
Right.
And then somebody else, right?
Yeah, we did a headline show there. I think we only played there 3 times. That Big Boy show, and then another Necros headlining show, and then the Misfits show. So, I didn't like it. I couldn't hear anything on stage. I thought the sound was horrible at that place. Other than that, it was okay, but it was just hard to play there because as a drummer, I couldn't hear anything on stage. So not one of my favorite places to play.
Now what about Todd's?
I only played there twice, I believe. The second time being there was an infamous Bad Brains Necros show there, where we did our set, and then the Bad Brains come on, and HR starts doing all this kind of anti-gay stuff, anti-gay rhetoric from the stage and stuff, and they pulled the plug on them after about 3 songs. So that's a gay bar, right? They're playing a gay bar, and they're going off on gay people.
Yeah.
The HR was in the middle of his kind of just heavy Rasta, just I don't know, just doing a lot of rants, stuff like that. So they'd already gotten into it. But that was the same tour that them and the Big Boys got into it in Texas. Something. Because HR realized that Biscuit was gay, so he starts. Yeah, it was all very. I don't know, just general homophobia.
Yeah.
So, right. But yeah, Todd's pulled the plug on him. I don't think anybody got paid.
Did you ever hang out there, like outside of just with the band?
Yeah, we'd always go up for. They had a dance party on Mondays. For a couple of years, we went up there like every Monday. There wasn't, that's how boring Toledo was. We went up to a bar in Detroit on Monday night. So yeah, it was like new wave dance party, right, night or whatever, or goth night or whatever. They play a lot of stuff, but everybody was there because it was just the place to go in Detroit on Monday night, basically. So.
And did you say you guys played at the Leader Knock?
Once.
What was that like?
I don't even remember.
Oh boy.
No, right. It's like I'm like, did it even happen? Or it might have gotten canceled. I know there was a flyer for it, but I don't remember if I think it might have got moved to the City Club. So we were supposed to play. Who were we supposed to play with there? Crosswire was supposed to open for us, which was that was the band after NA. Like after a couple of them quit, they started Crosswire.
Yeah, I know that some of one of the roadies from NA, Tim King, I think he was a roadie in NA. He started Heresy.
Right.
And so you like had guys that were influenced by you, like you just talked about earlier, but that were starting bands,
Right.
Like
right.
Son of Sam, Heresy, Forced Anger, I know all the names, but I'm blanking on it.
Those bands were kind of like those were after us, after NA and after the Necros. So it's kind of the Detroit, kind of the second wave of hardcore.
Yeah.
Right.
Now you guys played at did you guys play at the Madison Ballroom? Was it the Madison
Theater?
Madison Theater.
Yeah. Did we play there? No, it got moved. Grand Circus.
Was it like Merciful Fate?
Yeah, Merciful Fate.
Seduce?
Exciter and Seduce and the Necros. Yeah. That was one of those crazy shows. It was like it's like the middle of winter and this place had no heat. Right? It was freezing inside. But luckily, like 500 or 600 kids showed up, so that warmed it up a little bit. So.
Didn't you guys play at Blondie's too?
The last Necro show was at Blondie's. Actually. Yeah. Sometime in, I think it was February of '87, I'm pretty sure. Something like that. So, but it was kind of uneventful. We just kind of I don't even remember why we broke up. Oh, because we wanted to have Elektra Records sign us, and they didn't. So we just kind of broke up. For whatever reason. I don't know. Who knows why. It was just kind of time. It'd already been we had a good run. It was about 12 years, so. No, not quite. 9 years, maybe.
Now, I was wondering if you could tell me about some of the bands, like the contemporary bands that played with you guys. I've talked to the guy from Bored Youth, but wasn't there a band called Harold?
Yeah, that was like that photographer Davo.
Yeah.
Harold was just a joke band, basically.
And then I know about L7, but there was the Crucifix too.
Crucifix and Fate Unknown. Fate Unknown was our roadie, one of the Necros roadies bands. That was all skateboarders. What were some other? Suburban Anger. We kind of played a couple Nunzio shows at the beginning. Youth Patrol ended up morphing into NA. The Youth Patrol broke up, and NA got the rhythm section. Violent Apathy in Kalamazoo, the Crucifix were in Lansing, and of course the Meatmen, and then Blight, one of Tesco's side projects. Who else? That's probably about. I mean, it was a pretty small scene. That kind of original hardcore scene was pretty tight knit. Everybody knew each other.
Yeah, I know that in the Ann Arbor, there was some Ann Arbor bands too, like The State and Ground Zero.
The State were around way even before. They were like 77 probably, and then they kind of went hardcore, like in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ground Zero was an Ann Arbor band. There were some others.
Let me ask you this. Because you played in Detroit. I know you're from, Ohio. I'm also born in Toledo. Lived here.
Are you really?
Yep, born in Toledo. Yep, lived here all my life though, or almost all my life.
You were just born in Toledo, and then you right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'd be curious. What do you think? What do you think would make Detroit's whole scene unique? And I say underground music, and I guess for you, what you remember about with the hardcore scene, what made hardcore unique in Detroit,
as opposed to say DC or Boston or something.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, every little scene was different, right? Probably just the heaviness of the music. Detroit's always been known for heavy music, right?
Oh, sure.
So yeah, that was just kind of part of our attitude. So, and we weren't, Detroit wasn't necessarily a straight edge scene. Kind of like even though Boston and DC, the whole idea that everybody was straight edge was kind of ridiculous, right? It was there was only a few people, really. Yeah, I don't know what made Detroit more unique than those others. Probably that there was nobody tried to lay the rules on anybody, at least at the beginning. So it was kind of an open thing.
And I would be curious to know, with the hardcore sound, because obviously hardcore being a lot faster than the 76, 77 era sound. What appealed to you about that fast sound? I guess what put you guys in that direction, or where I want to play so fast,
Well, the Necros started as a punk band.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then we kind of morphed into hard. Yeah, the tempos just started picking up, right? Basically, that's really the only difference between hardcore punk and punk.
Of course.
Probably the tempo, right?
Yeah.
Hardcore punk's just a lot faster. It's a little heavier.
If you ask some of the older, saltier kind of Detroit punkers, they say, well, those guys, if they would just slow down and sing melody.
Right. Well, right. Yeah, people were just flabbergasted that, Negative Approach would have the nerve to do a 12-second song. Right. I don't think people understood it. I have this tape of I have a Negative Approach tape from Nunzio's, and you could hear people talking between songs, being and they're just not having it. They're this is the cancer of music. This is awful. Who does a 12-second song? Stuff you could hear them talking about it. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Right? Yeah, but then, yeah, I don't know. people eventually, obviously, we all developed a fan base, right, and a following and stuff. So it was, once again, back to the skateboarders. If it wasn't for the skateboarders, I don't think the hardcore thing in Detroit would have happened, actually. So.
You're the first person to really say that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people I've interviewed were influenced by you guys, came after you guys came out. But I think that's really interesting,
Well, yeah, the whole core of that original Detroit hardcore scene it's all skateboarders. And that's where everybody met. Everybody met at that show. They had a show at Endless Summer with the Necros and NA and Youth Patrol and stuff.
And so I would ask you, what did you think about because I noticed that some of the bands that were coming out just a little bit not after you guys quit, but just before you guys quit, there was kind of this little crossover thing going on, where you had bands that were kind of doing this thrash metal meets hardcore punk. What'd you think about that?
Crossover, kind of like DRI or something, I guess.
Yeah, or ugly but we had ugly but proud,
Right, or COC or something, or yeah, I don't know. Musically, I was moving on. By the time we broke up, I wasn't even into that. I was getting more into the birthday party and stuff like that.
Oh, I love the birthday party. It's funny you bring them up. Because everybody that I talk to almost talks about the birthday party, here in Detroit.
Right.
That's the big band, the big. People say they're goth. I say they're kind of goth adjacent, post punk to me.
Well, I don't think it's goth, but I mean, maybe Release the Bats is goth.
Oh yeah.
Right. So they have one song. They kind of got lumped into that whole Batcave thing.
Oh yeah, and I love the whole Batcave thing. I mean, if you ever see pictures of me, which I post sometimes, I get dressed up. I do the whole goth thing, but I tell people I'm punk at heart though, 100%.
In 1987, when the Necros broke up, the Sisters of Mercy were my favorite band.
Oh boy, and
a band without a drummer.
Yeah, right? Dr. Avalanche.
Right. So. Those were my favorite bands right in the late 80s. It was the Sisters and the Birthday Party and, all kind of that whole, the Scientists and stuff like that. A lot of Australian stuff. So, yeah, so the whole crossover, I never really even got into the whole crossover metal thing. It just wasn't where my head was at the time. And I was living... By 1986, I had moved to Columbus. I lived there a couple years, 86 to 88. So I was kind of a little disconnected from the Detroit scene at that point, because I was living 3 hours away, 4 hours away, down in Columbus. So
yeah, and then you got into the Laughing Hyenas
after I moved back to Toledo in 89 or 88, 89, I think, and then I had a couple bands in Toledo around then. Nothing really happened, and then I ended up joining the Hyenas in late 90, early 91. So
then you must have been in the band with Kevin and Ron.
The other Kevin.
Kevin Monroe?
No, Kevin was gone. Kevin Monroe and Jim Kimball quit, and they formed Mule with Preston. From Wig. But there was another, Kevin Reese initially replaced Kevin Monroe. And then I replaced Jim. And then Kevin Reese quit after about 6 months. And then we got Ron on bass. So... Kevin Reese is even he plays bass on the Crawl EP. even though he's not credited.
Uh,
So I think that was Larissa's way of getting back at him for quitting. Like, she didn't even give him credit on the record. So.
Yeah, and then talk about Larissa. I mean, she was quite a unique person, you know.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
L7, you know. I mean, I've heard stories. You know, somebody said, I don't know who said it, but I heard somebody say to me, yeah, they were like Detroit's version of Joy Division, you know.
Kinda. I mean, they were pretty much post-punk.
Yeah.
I mean, they played with they opened for a lot of those bands at Bookies and stuff. Like, they opened for the Gun Club and Killing Joke and Bauhaus. Actually, that was our first. Larissa snuck us into the L7 Bauhaus show at Bookies. We weren't old enough yet. So that was where probably the first place where we actually slam danced to Bauhaus. So probably the first time that anybody in Detroit had seen slam dancing. So we liked that. Well, they do that. Yeah, they had that T-Rex cover. They did Telegram Sam.
Yeah.
We like that cover. So.
Oh yeah, that's a great cover. Of course, I love the original too. I'm a big big glam rock fan. You know.
Yeah.
Were you guys into Bowie and Bolin and Slade and Mott the Hoople? I know you mentioned the Dolls, but
yeah, I was into Slade when I was like 10 years old, right? So, yeah, the Dolls and T-Rex. Bowie, not so much until maybe later. I don't know. This was all based on my. I don't know. My brother didn't like Bowie for some reason. I don't know. He didn't have those records, but he had other, you know, the Dolls, and T-Rex, and then Slade, and then the Sweet.
Oh yeah.
Of course. There's some others. Yeah, the whole glam thing was kind of interesting. It's kind of like pre-punk, right?
Oh yeah, and
it's pretty much.
And it's like a midway point between 50s rock and roll and like punk, you know, definitely.
Right. Yeah.
Which are like two different styles of music that I really love, you know.
I remember Slade actually played in Toledo back then. Of course I couldn't go because I was like 10. Or something. I remember being very, very angry at my mom for not letting me go. Yeah, they were like my favorite band, right? I had a favorite band every other week, but so.
Who were some of your favorite punk bands, like 77? I mean, I know you mentioned the Ramones in an interview. But were there?
Yeah, I mean, I was obsessed with the Ramones early on, like probably 76. But then later, like Sham and Wire, the Saints. I love the Saints.
Oh, me too.
It's probably my favorite punk band. UK Subs. There's 999, the Adverts, like any of those.
Oh yeah.
And of course the Damned and the Clash and the Pistols. What's a good? You remember that band Menace? Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're kind of a skinhead band, but not really. But then the whole Oi thing. I loved all that early Oi too, before the whole Nazi shit.
Yeah.
Like the Foreskins and Infra Riot and Cockney Reject.
Vice Squad.
Yeah, Angelic Upstarts.
GBH.
And GBH and Discharge, of course.
The Exploited.
Yeah, I never really liked The Exploited for some reason. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it.
Did you like the Addicts?
No. Yeah, not really. Not my thing. That's a little later anyway. And there's some other stuff, Little Fingers, of course. The Undertones.
Yeah.
Some other the Irish bands. The Outcasts. I actually saw the Undertones open for the Clash in Detroit at the Masonic.
Oh yeah, and David Johansen played at that concert too.
Yeah, he was in the middle, but the Undertones blew everybody off the stage.
Oh yeah,
but like easily, like it wasn't even close. Like, and they were all at least they were all our age, right? Probably they were kids and stuff. So David Johansen, of course, was pretty old at that point. The Clash were even pretty old at that point. So, but yeah, the Undertones, just in sheer youthful energy, the Undertones just kind of destroyed everybody. So, that was a great show.
Did you guys like any of the local Detroit bands like Cold Cock, Cinecide? Did you guys pay them any mind? Like them at all?
I didn't. I think Barry had those Cinecide records. He didn't. Cold Cock was kind of like whatever. And then the Sillies, we didn't like them. Cult Heroes, kinda, but that's more Ann Arbor. And we like Destroy All Monsters.
Oh yeah, and of course she had Ron Ashton on the guitar.
I mean, RUR were pretty good. We didn't like Flirt. That band Flirt. Man, you remember that band?
Yeah.
You ever heard of them? Yeah, they weren't very good. The Cubes, nah. I mean, it just wasn't our thing. Those people just seemed like so much older than us, right? And we wanted to kind of do something. We wanted to do something for us, for the kids, right?
Yeah.
For kids our age. So.
Yeah, and it seems like you guys brought the all ages shows to the scene. Really?
Yeah, right. That was kind of one of the things that we did. I mean, you got to have because none of the kids could get into the bars anyway. Half the time they wouldn't let us play anyway because we weren't old enough. So.
You guys had that DIY spirit. And that seems to run even going back to those guys that I've interviewed a lot of the people from those bands we just talked about, and they're all very into the DIY thing and doing it themselves, and that seems to be something that's pretty consistent through the scene. On top of everybody I talk to, when I ask them about influences, they talk about glam rock being an influence.
Right.
So glam and DIY, those are the two things.
I don't know if hardcore is directly. Well, kind of, because Brandon was already. Static was a glam rock band. And he saw the Necros play, and he broke Static up and started Negative Approach. So.
So, did you guys have, I guess, a reputation, and not like when you'd play in different areas of the states? And what I mean by that is being a Midwest band playing punk, when you'd go and play shows where people wow, they're a Detroit band, they're they have this sound or this or that. I mean, did they look on you kind of differently in the punk scene where you guys played in different places?
The Necros or the Hyenas?
Oh, the Necros.
Yeah, probably. I mean, because, Detroit kind of had a reputation, right? So, and then we were from place to place, Maumee, Ohio's even more backwards, right? That's nowhere. So, I think the people were pretty amazed that we were doing what we were doing, coming from where we were, until they realized that Detroit was only, 30 minutes from us. So, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think people definitely respect the whole Detroit thing. Out in the rest of the country, right?
Oh, yeah.
Probably mainly because of the Stooges and the MC5 and stuff, right?
Oh, for sure.
The reputation preceded everybody. So.
And I mean, you go and you ask people that are in punk bands, especially from the early days and in the hardcore scene. That's another commonality I find. It's like the you remember the band The Avengers?
Yeah.
They played here last week, and I, met.
Did they?
Yeah. I met them, and I talked to them, and I was telling them about this book I'm writing, and I was telling them about the Stooges and the MC5. We were talking about that, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we were." We were influenced by those guys. It's just it's the building block of punk rock.
Pretty much, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Where did they play?
They played at the Magic Bag.
Oh, cool. Awesome. I've seen them a couple times. I saw them early on, like San Francisco, like 2006, right after I moved there, or moved to California, and then I saw them again in San Francisco, like 2018, I think. Something like that. Where actually I DJ. They were opening for Mudhoney, and I was the DJ for the show. So, pretty cool. You know what?
Now that you mentioned, I don't mean to cut you off, Todd, but I just had a question come into my head because you mentioned DJing. Curious question. At the Freezer, did you guys have like anybody like that would DJ between sets by any chance, or was there any kind of punk rock DJing going on that you remember at any of the clubs?
Somebody would usually just bring a cassette player and hook it up to the PA and play like a mixtape or something. So like a mixtape DJ, I guess, Yeah, no person really being the DJ, somebody would just have Corey or somebody would bring their cassette player and hook it up to the PA so you could have some music between bands, basically. So
it seems like Corey Rusk had a big impact too, in the scene.
No, he was definitely a go-getter. He wanted to get stuff done. So
it seemed like those guys were always writing letters to everybody.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there was always a lot of networking going on, and obviously back then you did it between either letters or everybody there was a network of because back then you had to have a phone credit card, basically for long distance.
Oh, sure.
So there was this whole network of stolen numbers that people would trade each other. so you could call long distance for free. So, and then of course eventually the number would be turned off. But yeah, people book tours doing that though, like using some stolen credit card number for a telephone. So.
Oh, how easy it is today.
Right. Yeah. Now long distance is basically included in your fee. So back then it was extra.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you guys? It wasn't not you guys, but Barry had a fanzine, right? Was it the Smegma Journal?
I wrote for it too, but he was the editor.
Were you guys doing that still when you guys were playing up here?
Yeah, I think Smegma went from. Eventually, he stopped. I don't remember when. But yeah, we were already playing in the Detroit shows when Smegma was around. Definitely.
It seemed like the fanzines were a big part of the scene.
Right, and I had my fanzine with Brandon, Burp. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, I've never seen it before.
No, it's in some of these books.
Burb, is that what you said it was called?
Burp.
Burp?
B-U-R-P. Burp. B-U-R-P.
Burp, alright.
There's some Burp photos of it in the Better Never Than Late book. Have you seen that one?
I have not seen that one. I'm going to write that down.
That's the same guy who did Why Be Something That You're Not. It's his second book, though. It's all just flyers and stuff like that.
You said better late than never?
Better never than late.
Better never than late.
And I have it right here in front of me, actually. And also, have you seen the Ancient Artifacts book?
That's not the Touch and Go book, is it?
No. This came out, like, not too long ago.
No, I haven't heard of it, actually.
Yeah. That's basically that guy, Ancient Artifacts, is on Instagram. And he basically just collects punk rock ephemera and records and stuff like that. Let's see. So Better Never Than Late. That's also by Tony Retman. And it's on, publisher is Radio Raheem. Yeah, it's a good book. It's all just photos from it's all like hardcore Detroit flyers and photos, basically from Detroit shows.
I got to get a copy of that.
Yeah, I think you dig it. So
because you know what I wanted to do with this book is, do you know the book American Hardcore?
Right.
I wanted to do have a similar format with this, and I'm kind of thinking now it's probably going to be 2 or 3 volumes worth of stuff, but I know that with Necros and NA material and photographs, I'd have to. It'd be a little bit harder to get everybody on board, saying, okay, yeah, you can use the photos, you can put photos in the book, but with the scene, the second wave scene, it's a little easier in the bookie scene, but I wanted to do something like that. That's how I kind of wanted the book to be formatted.
And the Ancient Artifacts book has 3 different sections. There's a Necros and Negative Approach section, and then there's a DC section, and then
where can you buy that book at? Amazon?
He's on the same. Try the publisher, Radio Raheem.
Radio Raheem. All right.
RADIO and then RAHEEM. Because I know a lot of these books, they do such a small print run, right, that they're just not available anymore, right? These might be, but also you can reach out to the Ancient Artifacts guy on his Instagram. It's just Ancient Artifacts.
Okay, I'll look him up. I don't
know if Tony Retman, the other book, is by the same guy who did Why Be Something That You're Not.
Yeah, I sent him a friend request and sent him a message because I wanted to ask him some questions. I've talked to Steve Blush and I've talked to Steve Miller too.
Right.
So I've been kind of getting some advice from them on publishing and formatting and.
That might be a good publisher to work with. Radio Raheem.
Yeah, that or Feral House. I've had a lot of people tell me to talk to Feral House.
Right. But yeah, so the other Better Never Than Late is basically Tony Retman's other book on Midwest Hardcore. But this one's all just flyers. There's no interviews or anything in it. It's just flyers, photos.
I would really like that because I love those flyers.
Yeah, if you're in contact with him, I'm sure he can probably get you one.
Were you the one that made most of the Necros flyers, or was that you and Barry that did that?
Me and Barry, yeah, we split it pretty much.
How did you guys get the ideas? Would you guys go to the bookstore, or the library, and get find photos and then just mix and match stuff together?
Yeah, or just influenced by other West Coast flyers we'd seen. That's kind of cool. You just find some kind of shocking photo, right, or something, and then you do your information around the photo, kind of, right?
Yeah, there's this one flyer from Bookies, Necros and Heart of Ideals, and it's the guy, and he's in the car, and he's that one. I was I don't know why, I don't know why I love looking at that. It's horrible, obviously most people will be horrible, but I love it. I don't know why.
That was a Barry flyer. That's a Barry flyer.
There's the one. It's not like a photo, but it's like an illustration when you guys played with the Damned at Clutch Cargo's, and it's that I don't know what that thing is. Is it a troll or if it's some type?
Oh yeah, I think those were done by. Those might have been Larissa.
I like that.
I know Larissa because they were living there at the time. So Vince would have Larissa do flyers once in a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, because they were living upstairs after they moved from the clubhouse.
Oh yeah, I knew about them living upstairs. I didn't know Larissa would do some of the flyers sometimes.
Yeah. So.
But it seemed like, and I'm not to sound like the big artist kind of lover dude, but it seemed like that had that Dadaism in it, you know, like influence from Dada.
Oh yeah, definitely, right?
Yeah, like cutting up and like putting all these different photos together, like Picasso, right. Dada, abstract art. Were you guys like into art?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean,
there's that correlation. Again.
Right. Yeah, because that's what we all took, like art classes at high school and stuff. That was kind of our art or music, right? So.
Yeah. So did you guys get a lot of shit from people for being punks? I mean, just in
Toledo, yes. No, I went to a totally separate high school than everybody else in the band. They were all in Maumee. I lived in Toledo, so I was at a Toledo public school, and I would just get, I mean, it was okay until my senior year. I basically showed up with no hair. Right.
Yeah.
This is like 1981. So, yeah, they were still, I'd get like, I don't know, you get called faggot a lot, punk rock faggot, stuff like that. But then, just random, some jock had just like pushed me against the locker and yelled Devo, like stuff like that. I'm like, what? Of course, this is 1981. My response was like, Devo, that's like 3 years ago, dude. And it was at that point, because I was 1981. I was into like Black Flag and DOA and the Circle Jerks and stuff like that. So pretty far away from Devo at that point. Not that I like Devo, but Devo was more like 79 for us, probably 78, because I think we got into Devo from Saturday Night Live, which I think was 78 that they were on, actually. So that was pretty early.
Oh yeah, and they're from Ohio too. Funny enough, I'm trying to think of what part of Ohio they're from.
That's kind of northeast, north central Ohio. Akron's directly south of Cleveland. So
yeah, and then Youngstown's not. They're just south.
Youngstown's east of Cleveland.
Yep, home of the Dead Boys.
Yeah. So I played Youngstown a couple times. There's not much there. It's another town that's kind of a lot like Toledo. There wasn't much happening going on there for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, and then Detroit is like there's a lot of things happening.
Right.
Like now? I mean, you still drum, right?
Yep.
Have you like gone on and listened to like maybe either newer music or older music and like kind of like maybe gotten some different influences or people that you've like kind of studied? As a drummer?
More, I'm into like jazz now.
So like Buddy Rich?
I wasn't into, Buddy Rich was probably the first drummer I ever saw play on the Tonight Show. That's probably what got me into drumming in the first place. So, Yeah, I famously used to say when I was in 1981 or whatever that I don't have time to listen to jazz right now. I'll do that when I get old. I remember, and of course now I listen to jazz. I mean, I listen to everything. I like everything, but I do have a rather large jazz collection now in my record collection. So
oh yeah,
it just kind of happened.
Oh so, yeah, I love it too.
Right. Most of the older, I like most of that kind of post bop, like 1958 into the 60s, like maybe a little early 70s stuff, but fusion not so much, more kind of hip jazz, right?
I like a lot of the early jazz from like about the 20s to about like,
right,
I'd say like about the 50s, like Chick Webb, you know, a drummer that sticks out in my mind I really like. But I like a lot of the big band stuff. I don't know, it's probably because growing up, I knew a few guys that were in the war, and that was kind of stuff they could play, and I'd hear Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, and I liked that. I don't know, it's just, I dig the sound. And it was rebellious for its time, that whole swing thing was like...
Oh, totally. My mom, she was a Bobby Soxer back then.
Oh, yeah.
She saw all those guys play, like, in Detroit. Like Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey, etc. And she grew up in Croswell, which I don't know if you know where that is.
Oh, no.
Croswell is about 40 minutes from Port Huron. Or Port Huron, I guess is what we... It's up that way. It's like up in the thumb. So, Croswell was the home of the Aunt Jane Pickle Factory. So that was the town's claim to fame.
Yeah.
they had a pickle factory. So.
Oh yeah, I love all that stuff.
But her and her friend, their parents would take them down to these shows in Detroit, like Glenn Miller or Tommy Dorsey or whoever, right?
Oh yeah,
so, and then at the Olympic they would play.
Yep, the Olympic, and then I think the Fillmore. I think Glenn Miller played a few times.
Yeah.
My grandma was into rockabilly, so I grew up on a lot of that. Jerry Lee Lewis, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, and it's funny, you know. It's like you listen to Chuck Berry, and then you go listen to the Sex Pistols, and it's like, yeah, you see Steve Jones is like really influenced by Chuck Berry. You see you know, and then you see the New York Dolls, you see Johnny Thunders, you're like, yeah, you know, and you see Chuck Berry, you know, big influence.
Oh, via Keith Richards, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. So.
Oh, have you read that book that Keith put out? That he wrote, his autobiography?
No, I haven't.
I haven't read it. But I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've been wanting to read it.
Yeah, sure, right.
Just been too busy reading about Detroit punk.
Right, exactly. Let's see, if you want to wrap this up, and maybe you could do another session if you want, if you deem necessary.
Yeah, it's possible. I'll ask you, do you talk to anybody from the band still? I mean, I got in touch with Andy Wendler. That's who I forgot to tell you I'm going to interview.
Yeah. I talked to Andy and Ron. Barry's kind of reclusive.
Yeah, I talked to Barry. Funny enough, I keep trying to kind of talk him to kind of do it, you know, but he'll dodge it every time. But we end up talking about blues music. Funny enough, because that's what we like. He's like, he's like, oh yeah, he's like, you got that Mississippi blues sound, because I post videos of me playing guitar and stuff.
Oh, cool.
He's like, you sound like you're straight out of Mississippi.
You'd probably like I was in a blues band out of Toledo from like, oh man, maybe 2006 to 2016. Something, you'd probably dig it.
What, you got any stuff I could listen to?
There's stuff on YouTube. Boogaloosa Prayer is the band.
Oh, okay. I'm going to give that a listen.
there are some CDs out, but for some reason, yeah, there was a bunch of weird. Nothing ever got on nothing's on streaming services. So YouTube is going to be your best bet. So, but yeah, if you're into the blues, you'll probably dig it. We always thought we were punk rock blues, like that was kind of our thing, right?
Yeah, I was doing a band for a minute before I started writing this book, and I was trying to do like goth meets punk meets the blues.
Right.
So I totally I know what you're talking about 100%.
Well, we played with we've played with the Black Keys before they got big, and the Soledad Brothers. You remember them?
Yep.
Yeah, those are all friends of mine. And Jack White, of course, or White Stripes and stuff like that. So kind of in that ilk. So, but yeah, Bogalusa Prayer, you'll dig it. I think if you're into the blues.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right, I'll give you guys a listen for sure. I want to get.
Awesome.
I'm collecting CDs, so my hope is to get a Necros and an NA CD for my car when I'm driving around Detroit.
Well, there is the only Necros CD is Tangled Up. The later stuff, because the other stuff never came out on CD. So it's streaming now. Finally, and then the vinyl should be out by the end of the year, the reissues.
Oh, I'd like to get a vinyl.
Yeah, so I'd like one too.
Yeah, I gotta get a... I'd like to get a T-shirt.
I sold all my stuff years ago, like probably 30 years ago. I sold all my Necro stuff for rent or drugs probably.
Well, hey, you're honest about it.
Right. Well, I've been clean for 26 years now. So.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
I still smoke a shitload of weed, but.
Hey, that's good. Hey, it's right. Better than cigarettes, and it's better than anything else.
I never got into the cigarette thing for some reason. So which is weird because everybody, like Andy chain smoked in the van on tour. Larissa chain smoked. And now Brandon apparently is like, that's all he does now. He just smokes cigarettes and has beer.
Do you talk to John still?
I see them whenever they play out here a couple times a year, usually.
I've been trying to get in contact with him.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get in touch with any of the other bands, because this is kind of multi-layered, so it's not just the bands, it's kind of like the scene goers, but I do want to have the bands, and I've been trying to get him to do it, I just haven't been able to get in contact with him yet.
Yeah, sometimes they're on tour a lot too.
Oh yeah, so. Well, he's a hard-working man,
Yeah, definitely, right? So... Well, why don't you, like I said, you can listen to what you already have, and then if you want to set up, we can do another session.
Oh yeah.
Like in a few weeks or something.
Okay.
We still have a date reserved too, I think, don't we? In July.
Yeah, we had the 27th.
Yeah, so if you wanted to do some more, I would totally be into doing that.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, thank you, Todd. I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem. And you take care. All
right, yep. You too.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye. Keep in touch.
All right, yep. You too.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.